Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. This is another in my series of videos on buying low-grade comics for investment. So this one, I'm going to look at risk. Risk in investment is really a major issue. That sometimes when you buy a stock, you're taking a gamble. It's basically like playing the lottery. You hope that that stock will go up over time, but sometimes it doesn't. And the same applies with comics. That you're sometimes taking a risk. That when you buy that comic, you're not sure if it's going to go up over time or even crash. The market might crash on it and nobody wants that comic anymore. Well, that's the big thing with comics, that there is that risk. And when you buy comics, you're gambling with your money, whether or not that comic will go up. Maybe everyone goes to digital. Nobody wants comics anymore. That can happen. The market could crash. And with that being said, I'm going to talk about a different type of risk. And this is buying uncertified comics. I haven't, like most of the videos in this series are certified comics. And the reason I buy certified comics as an investment is really, you know, more that that comic has an established price, that there is no, and especially when it's like a blue key, blue label, that it's going to be something that has established price. There's no finagling. There's no worry that, oh, it has, like, is it restored and therefore maybe it's worth a little bit more to some people, a little less to others. Blue label, safe investment, safe book because it's a blue chip, and all those kind of things. So generally, when you buy things as an investment, you want to create as many stabilities as possible. But in this case, I'm going to talk about risk. So I'm going to say, like, sometimes you buy books with the expectation that you will grade them, so you'll make your investment more safe, but you're buying it with the expectation that you're getting a good deal. And I'll show you the comic that I'm kind of talking about is this one. It's not graded yet. I'm going to get it graded. So right now it's not graded. It's got a nice little rip here, still attached, but it's ripped. This is definitely a low grade, like you can see. I bought this from My Comic Shop. They're actually sponsoring these videos. So you can see the link in my description. I'm an affiliate with them. The more people that buy from them, the more money I get to buy comics. That's really all it is. It's not like I get cash or anything, but the point is that it's just my fun way of trying to get some more money to buy comics. So with that being said, My Comic Shop is one of those reliable companies that when you buy from, they do what's called a professional grading. It's not that it's encased or anything like that, but they do look at the comic and certify that it is of a certain grade. And they suggest that this is a 1.5, so very low grade, 1.5. And they don't mention any details about why it's a 1.5, but from looking at it, you can see that it's pretty beaten up. It's a really low grade. Um, so yeah, its spine's a little bit mangled. There's lots of creasing on the corners. It's got some stains. It is beaten up. It is a 1.5. Very reasonable grade. Now, if I get this graded and it turns out, I think it's going to be something anywhere from a 1.5, maybe even higher, right? So let's say I get this graded and it's a 1.8. Well, just by having that non-graded one grade slightly higher than what you paid for that 1.5, you've taken that gamble, that risk, that you expect the comic to actually get a bit better grade than what you paid for. And you can't do that with stocks. You can't do that with, you can't say, oh, I bought Amazon stock, but I actually got Apple stock, where, it's not one of those things. With comics, you can buy them, and sometimes you pay for a low grade, but actually get a higher grade. And yeah, can actually get just a return on that investment from just getting the better deal. So that's really one of the cool advantages and one of the risks with comics. So did I guess right? Like, let's say instead of it grades at a 5, it grades at a 1, or it has restoration or something that really kills the value. Well, that's the risk that you take when you buy uncertified comics. And I just want to kind of point that out, that when you buy comics, there's always that risk. And another risk is, how do the prices fare? Like Justice League right now is getting popular again because there is going to be the Snyder Cut. It's one of those comics that has some popularity, and this is Brave and the Bold 28, which is the first appearance of the Justice League. So it's kind of one of those iconic comics from the 60s, and it's just actually, sorry, 50s. 1955. It's early Silver Age, 1955. What am I thinking? So yeah, so it's early Silver Age iconic comic with an iconic cover with all the major characters on it. So it's a very well established blue chip comic. Now let's look at the numbers. So I'm going to put this way. Put the numbers over here. So we look at the numbers and we can see that Brave and the Bold 28, first appearance of Justice League of America. And there are no 9/8s that have ever been found so far, none certified at least. So 9/8 would go for 1.3 million. Very pricey book, very pricey book. And a 9/6 goes for around 575. And my 1/5 goes for about 1,000. Okay, so I believe I paid 900 for this. So I actually did okay. So if you look at these low grades, you can actually see that there's actually a fair number of sales, even all the way up. Actually, there's a fair, like, until you get the high grades. But this comic is got a pretty good sales volume. At least always 25 sales, last 25 sales. So that means that there's a lot of activity happening for it, which is a good sign. Now what we want to do is dig a little deeper and see what is the trends with this comic. Was it a good comic to invest in? And you can see like some of the higher grades, kind of the trend is a little bit down. Maybe even with the really low grade, there's a little bit, maybe somebody overpaid. There's a little bit of a correction going on. But generally, these lower grades have a pretty good return on investment. People are, the fair market value has gone up about 20% year to year, which is not a bad return on investment. So yeah, so the point is, like, you can see that there's a pretty good increase that's happening. And you can see even like people, like I paid 900, people are listing it on eBay for anywhere from 1,800. You can see even a lower grade, so, somebody trying to sell it for 1,300 or 1,400. So it's one of those ones where people are trying to get more for it. So if you list your comic at that, 1.5. So the thing is, here's another thing about buying ungraded comics. So if I wanted to get this graded, it's probably going to cost me probably about $100 all in, to get the grading and everything from CGC. And the reason I say about $100 is the older ones, you pay a little bit more, and they also ask for a percentage of the price, and you pay a little bit more. You might even want to do a cleaning of it, so probably about $100 all in. So you got to take that into the cost. So instead of paying 900, now I paid 1,000 to get to that same level. So generally, people will ask a little bit more for a certified book over a non-certified book. And that's, again, because people want to minimize their risk. So when you're buying like these uncertified books, well, you have to be really cognizant of that, because what you want to do is you want to minimize your risk, and you want to have it where it's easier to resell and get the most for it. So reselling a unslabbed book is not as easy as something that is slabbed and people know what the grade is. So you got to be a little bit aware of that. So looking at this, we can see that the prices have generally gone up and, pretty good rate of return. The mid grades didn't perform as well. And this is why one of the points of this video is you want to minimize your risk with investment. And one of the ways to do that is to spend less. The smaller the investment, the less risk. But also, you want to buy something which generally has a more likelihood to go up, or have a larger pool of people interested in buying that comic. So, by buying that lower grade, well, you reduced your risk because you haven't spent much money on it. And you've also set yourself up to, be able to sell it easier because there's a lot more people interested in buying that comic. Now, when people do these things where they try to sell it at this higher price, like really this is double, almost double the fair market value for the book. They're taking that long risk, that long gamble. I'm going to actually click this one just to take a look at what it is. Okay, so you can see that they have that best offer capability. Now, probably what's going to happen is this one's actually quite nice looking for 1.5. But you can see that what will happen is people might not be willing to pay this because it's way too expensive. That's overpaying. You'd be overpaying if you bought it now. But people would probably make an offer. And generally when people make offers, they offer like maybe half the price, and then the guy will make a counter offer and you'll sort of meet in the middle, and it'll become like a little bit between half the price and the full price, and maybe you're paying 75%. But with this price being almost double, that 75% is actually still an overpay. So what ends up happening is these people, they're being savvy in terms of what they're doing. They're setting up a situation where they're going to actually get their money back. And with these lower grades, people are kind of willing to sometimes overpay. I've done it many times myself where I've been willing to overpay for a comic just to have that key, just to have that cool comic. And that's really what I'm trying to show you here, that one of the ways of reducing your risk is to really think of what is something that is always going to sell. Always somebody's going to be interested in buying it. And that they're also going to be willing to maybe pay a little extra just because it is a cool comic. And when you think in those terms, you can really minimize your risk because you know that you can sell it quickly. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm trying to look at different components of investment, like risk, liquidity, and the various components of what it is to make a safe investment. And I'm trying to show you a way to use low-key comics, low-grade comics, not low-key, but high-key, but low-grade comics as an investment tool. And I hope you enjoy these videos. Thanks for watching. Please check out my other videos, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.